Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. You know, the other day I did a video about the new FN57 MRD, kind of a modern revamp of their old FN57. And I mentioned that, FNs and other 5.7 chambered handguns are becoming more popular than ever. There's more variety available now, and that some people might be switching to these for concealed carry. Because I said that, a lot of people sent me text messages and emails, etc., saying, how do we decide which one of these is better for concealed carry? Which one do I think is better for concealed carry? Well, I can't decide that for you. That would be totally on you to decide. All I can do is tell you the features of each one and then let you decide from there which one you would most like to try. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through a list of the 3 most viable guns for concealed carry. Now I'm just going to deal with the FN, the new model, because I figure if you're going to buy one, you want the new model because it's, you can put a red dot sight on it, etc. And I think it'll probably phase out the old one soon. So they're pretty similar though. If you like the new one, you'll probably like the old one too, and vice versa, as we say in West Virginia. But I'm just going to deal with the new one, and I'm going to compare it to the Ruger 57 and the PSA 5.7 Rock. Now, before we get into any detail on these 3 guns, I'm going to say, yes, there are other guns chambered in 5.7. There are carbines, there are pistol-like guns, but none of them are really suitable for carry. So these are the 3 we're going to deal with. First, let's start with MSRP, because that could be a deciding factor for a lot of people. If you look at the MSRPs here of the 3 guns, you can see there's a big difference. The FN is $1,449 MSRP. The Ruger sits kind of right in the middle with an $869 MSRP, and the PSA comes in at the end here with $569 MSRP, making it by far the most affordable of the 3 guns. So if budget is an issue, the PSA might be for you. Now let's move on and look at capacity for these 3 guns. The FN holds 20+1. The R57 from Ruger holds 20+1 also. But the PSA holds 23+1. So if capacity is your number one consideration, you'd probably want to look at the PSA, but none of these guns are low capacity. Their standard capacity is pretty high, so all of them will be a good choice, but you do get 2 more rounds with the PSA. Now, when we look at weight, these are all 3 fairly large guns, but they're not super heavy. They're actually pretty light. The FN weighs in at 25.2 ounces. The Ruger is 24.5 ounces, and the PSA is 25 ounces. There's very little difference between them weight-wise. I don't think you would be making a decision based on that tiny bit of difference weight-wise, because the difference between the lightest one and the heaviest one is 0.7 ounces, so not even enough to worry about there. Now, the slides on these guns is where there's a slight bit of difference here. They're all 3 pretty different. Now, the FN uses a steel slide, but it's encased in a polymer cover. There's actually a removable cover that goes on it. If you ever scratched it up, you could just buy a new cover for the slide. That's actually a positive thing, in my opinion, being able to change that cover on the slide. Now, when you move on to the Ruger, it has a more traditional carbon steel slide with a black finish on it. And when you get to the PSA, it also has a black finish, but it's stainless steel. It's the only one that has a solid metal stainless steel slide. I actually like that. Now it is, like I said, blackened. It has a black finish on it, but you could strip it off, have a 2-tone gun if you wanted. So if you're like me and you like stainless steel, maybe the PSA would be the one for you in this category. Now I'm not even going to deal with the frames of these guns. They're all 3 polymer frames, so no reason to cover that. They're polymer guns. So let's move on to the barrels. Now in the FN, you have a 5.8-inch barrel with a 1/9 twist. With the Ruger, you have a 4.9-inch barrel with a 1/9 twist. And with the PSA, you have a 4.7-inch barrel with a 1/9 twist. So they're all very similar. There is a slight bit of difference, the shortest one being the PSA at 4.7 and the largest being the Ruger at 4.9, but really not a big difference here either. They're all very similar. You're going to get identical ballistics out of these. Not enough of a difference in barrel length to make any real noticeable change. All right, now let's move on to the sights. Sights is another place where there's a difference here. If you look at the FN, they're proprietary, and they're very proprietary. If you want to get night sights on this, you pretty much have to send it off to someone, have the front sight drilled, because you really can't find stuff for it. I've been trying. I'm going to have to send it off, spend $310 to have it done. Now the Ruger, they're also proprietary, but they're a little easier to find replacements. I've seen places offering fiber optics for them, etc. So still proprietary, but like I said, more options available. And when you get to the PSA, it uses Glock sights. That's actually a big positive. It gives you a wide variety of sights you could buy easily. They're readily available. So that's a big plus in my mind for the PSA, the fact that it uses Glock sights. Now, another thing that's different about these guns is how they actually fire. You know, their firing mechanism, or manual of arms, we'll just call it that. The first two guns, the FN and the Ruger, they are both internal hammers. A lot of people think they're striker fired. They are not. They actually have hammers. Take the slide off, you'll see a hammer in the frame. They are hammer-fired guns. The hammers are just internal. The PSA, however, is more like a Glock. It is a striker-fired gun. That's a big difference right there. If you prefer one mechanism over the other, which I much prefer hammers, I prefer the internal hammer, especially of the FN, that would be something you might want to take into consideration. However, if you like striker-fired better, in this case, once again, the PSA might be for you. Next is something I think most people actually consider when they're choosing a carry gun, and that is, does it have a manual safety? Well, the FN, yes, it has a manual safety. Both the old models and the new models, they all come with a manual safety. The Ruger, it does come with a manual safety, but it has a Pro model that's available without the manual safety. So it's the only one where you actually have a choice. Now, the PSA, no manual safety. They're all passive safeties. So it is, like I said, once again, more like a Glock, striker fired with no manual safety. So if you like that type of gun, that'd be the one for you. But if you like to have a safety, either the Ruger or the FN would probably be better for you. All right, finally, let's look at if they're cut for a red dot. As you can see, the new FN is cut for a red dot. That's one of the major new features of the redesign. The old guns are not cut for red dot, but the new ones are. Now the Ruger, it's kind of red dot ready. It's not cut for a red dot, but it does have two screws on the top that you can buy a proprietary plate and put it on there and mount a red dot. Not as good as actually being cut for one. I don't like the way they sit or the way they fit on top as much when they have a plate like that. But still, you can put one on there. And finally, the PSA is also cut for a red dot. In fact, that $569 MSRP, that's for the red dot cut. If you get it without a red dot, which you can, it's only $519. So it's even cheaper. But the price shown here is for one with a red dot. All right, with looking at all that information, which one do you think would be best for you? I personally own the FN, but I own the old one, and I do want to look at the new one, and I might buy one. But the gun on this list that has me the most excited is actually the PSA 5.7 Rock, because that gun, I think, is kind of like a sweet spot. It's the least expensive. It's striker fired, which is not my favorite, but it is kind of different than what I have already. And I like the way it looks. It's just got a nice, sleek, plain look. You know, it's got a stainless steel slide. There's lots of things about it that make me very interested in this gun. Like I said, though, the one I own is actually the FN, and the one I'll probably buy another one of is the FN. But I might also buy that PSA Rock, because with those features, at that price, that looks like a real winner. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I do appreciate you coming, and I hope to see you again next week. Until then, remember, always carry maybe one of these three guns we just talked about, and stay safe until I see you again.